5 common reductions to a FERS basic annuity. These are things that are going to reduce that gross amount you see in your annuity calculation to what you actually take home on a month-to-month basis. Things to be aware of within your retirement income plan. Hey guys, I'm Justin. I run a wealth management firm here in Northern Virginia, and we're focused on answering questions just like this almost every single day for federal employees, their families. And right now we're really focused on providing education and information to as many folks as we can. And if you could help us do that by liking, subscribing, sharing this video with any colleagues or friends you might think would find this valuable, would greatly appreciate that. Back to the topic at hand here today. So I like this topic because I think it's really important to be aware of these things. The first thing on my list is going to be one, it doesn't apply to everybody, but it's more common than you might think. And that's an early retirement reduction. So if you take an early retirement, you may see your FERS basic annuity reduced. How does that work? Remember, to qualify for an immediate unreduced annuity, you have to meet one of 3 criteria for most federal employees. You have to be age 62 with 5 years of service, age 60 with 20 years of service, or minimum retirement age with 30 years of service. If you don't meet one of those 3 criteria, in most cases, you'll see a 5% reduction in your annuity value for every year you're under the age of 62. So if you go out on MRA plus 10 and you don't meet any one of these 3 criteria, you're going to see a reduction. Let's look at an example. We had a gentleman not too long ago we were talking with about his retirement plan, 59 years old, 29 years of service, and wanted to go out today. Couldn't wait. And it was really important to him, but we talked through it and looked at what the numbers actually would come out to be. And it worked like this. He had $150,000 high 3, 29 years of service, and a 1% multiplier. Okay, so that annuity calculation would have come out to be $43,500 a year. But he didn't qualify for 60 plus 20, and he was also short of his MRA plus 30. So he was going to take a reduction for every year he was under 62 if he took the immediate annuity. All right, so that would work out to be 15%, 5% for those 3 years. Now, 15% off of $43,500 is a pretty significant amount. It actually came out to be $6,525 a year that he was losing if he decided to go forward with this scenario, all right? So I know the numbers aren't always the whole story, but it's important to be aware of those numbers before you make your decision, okay? So that's number 1 on our list. Number 2 on our list, this is one that's gonna apply to everybody. All of us have to pay taxes, okay? Now your FERS basic annuity is going to be almost fully taxable as ordinary income. There's a small portion comes back to you as a return of premium. That's from those contributions you've made over the years. That comes back to you without paying tax on it, okay? But the rest of it is going to be fully taxable as ordinary income. On the federal level, that's going to apply across the board, all right? You're gonna pay federal income tax on that income. And on the state level, in most cases, you're also going to pay income tax on your pension income. There are some states that exclude income from taxation, as well as some states that specifically exclude pension income, okay? So if you fall into one of those states, you get a little bit of a tax break from that standpoint. Let's go back to this previous example. Let's say you're in the 22% tax bracket and your annuity calculation was gonna come out to be that $43,500 a year. Just because you're in the 22% tax bracket doesn't mean you pay 22% on all of your income. There's an average rate that applies, right? Because it's a progressive schedule. So let's say it's 18% is what your average rate comes out to be. 18% times your $43,500 comes out to be $7,830 in federal income tax on an annual basis. Okay, so that's how much your pension would be reduced in order to pay those federal income taxes. Next on my list, survivor benefit premiums. I think this one is important. It's an important discussion to have with your spouse, your partner, other relevant family members, okay? So if you want to provide protection for your spouse and give them a residual benefit from your pension you paid into and worked hard for all these years, you can do so through the FERS basic annuity itself. There's a survivor benefit option that applies. You can take a 50% survivor benefit for a 10% annual premium, or you can take a reduced survivor benefit of 25% of your pension amount, your basic annuity amount, for a 5% annual premium. Okay, so those are your 2 options. I think it's really important. There's a lot of chatter and talk about doing alternative strategies. In my experience, if you're trying to protect the pension income, the survivor benefit premium is usually the best way to do that. There's just a lot of nuance, a lot of uncertainty that comes with some of these alternative strategies. There's a lot of room for error, okay? So just make sure you get all the right people in that conversation. If you do decide to take that 10% premium, let's look at how that reduces your hypothetical annuity amount, okay? So again, $43,500 a year times 10%, you would be paying $4,350 a year for the protection on your annuity for your spouse or significant other. If you take the reduced amount, 5%, it would come out to be $2,175 a year, okay? Moving through this, the next thing on my list, federal employee health benefits, so your health insurance. If you want to continue that in retirement, which is generally a good option, there's a premium attached, okay? The good news is retirees have access to the same premium rates that active employees have. The one caveat, the one difference is going to be you're going to pay for your premiums with after-tax dollars. Current employees, active employees pay with pre-tax. So it's a little bit of an increase, not significant. Something to be aware of in your calculations. I'm not an expert when it comes to selecting the right plans for different families, but we can try to ballpark things here, all right? Just for the sake of calculation. And I know this is gonna be really different for you, so I would encourage you to look at what your premium rates are, what plan you're using now, and see how that projects. But let's just say your monthly premium comes out to be $500 a month, and this is for family two, self plus one, okay? So $6,000 a year coming off that $43,500 in annual pension amount, okay? One more reduction. So spend a little time with it and see what that might look like in your situation so you can get your numbers straight. The last thing on my list, I'm gonna lump these together, right? This is dental, vision, long-term care, FEGLI, Federal Employee Group Life Insurance. So these things, you're gonna pay premiums for these and they can be direct reductions from your FERS basic annuity. Of course, you don't have to continue any of them, but a lot of folks do, especially the dental and the vision. If you do decide to continue with FEGLI, it gets real expensive in the later age bands and later years. And there's a little bit of nuance here too. So if you have the basic option, you choose to continue that, it becomes free at age 65 or retirement if you retire after the age of 65, okay? But it only becomes free if you take the reduced option, right? Which is a 75% reduction. That's how you can get that benefit for free after age 65 or retirement. Otherwise, premiums apply to any of the optional coverages. And if you don't take that full reduction, there would still be premiums that may apply to your FEGLI cover. So something to consider. I'm not gonna throw this in the mix just because it's unpredictable and a lot of folks do kind of go in different directions here, okay? All right, I said that was last on the list. I do wanna talk about one additional thing, and that's inflation. This is sneaky, and this isn't gonna be a line item per se on your budget or within your FERS basic annuity statement. But inflation is real, it's persistent, and it's likely to stick around a little bit longer than we might like going forward, okay? So with your FERS basic annuity, you do get a cost of living adjustment at age 62. However, if inflation runs above 3%, it's reduced. So you're not gonna get the full CPI adjustment, you're gonna get CPI -1, okay? So just something to keep in mind from that standpoint when we're talking about inflation and how the cost of living adjustments work. Take a look at that. Inflation is so personal. It's hard to know. We all spend money on different things, so it's really hard to see how that exactly works out, but it's something that's impacting all of us in different ways. All right, so I hope you found that information valuable, useful. Would love to be a resource for you. If you have questions, please reach out. We'd love to hear your questions around what you're working on within your retirement plan, whether it's FERS basic annuity, a TSP question. And of course, if you could help us out by giving us a like, subscribe, and passing this along to any friends you might think would find some value, we would greatly appreciate it. Until next time.